I believe we're going. Hey, it's been a long time.
Yo,
Shouldn't left you without a dope beat to step to.
what? I got to pull out the Twitch chat because you don't know what it's like.
So we've been away from a while, too long.
Oh, it's been too long.
Every week we go, hey, let's do a Twitch cast. Oh, nope, let's don't, because there's too many awesome things happening, and we can't spill it all at once. So we're just gonna do once a month, and then everybody's minds will be blown.
Maybe if we just did 15-minute shows and just did them, you know, twice a week or something like that, it would allow us to just jump on with a lot more ease, run through things, knock things out. I mean, there's so much stuff going on. I'm afraid that we go even a week at a time. If I don't write down everything that's going on, I forget to mention it, and talk about it in the show. But you know, we just have so many things going on, and it's so amazingly cool. Yesterday you were there with me, J Mac, when the guy came in doing his project for his school, just doing some sort of video on esports, and he had to go around and get some footage and was interviewing some people, and I mean, it was literally a 7-minute interview that he did with me. But after the end of the 7 minutes, I just was like, I could tell as we talked about it, in his face, he's like, "Holy crap, you guys are right in the right place at the right time." And man, it is exciting. It is exciting. It's scary. It's busy. It's stressful, but I think it's definitely exciting.
I think that had a decent Overwatch group there tonight for him to come back and get a little bit more
Good.
footage. It was a guy from Butler University doing a project about esports, and he
Right.
came to do some interviews and that kind of stuff. But anyway, um, so hey,
Yo.
welcome to the Twitch cast, everybody that's watching. If you're watching now, or if you're watching on YouTube later, hello on YouTube later. Laggy for anyone else.
That's what you get from trying to do it from home, J Mac.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead.
All right. You're recording it anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Well, we always start with a new existing center question of the week. Let's just cut to the chase and go right into the hottest thing for me right now is we're going to touch back on VR. And VR is one of those things that it's such a hot topic. You could say esports right now, and everybody's like ears perk up, and they're like, esports, that's awesome. And then you hear somebody say VR, and it's the same sort of thing. VR, that's awesome. So the two of them are hand in hand. I want to address this because I think it was Chris Tom that posted in the group. He got a message from Valve that said they were reviving the cafe program. They didn't call it the cyber cafe program. They called it something else. And I reached out to my contact at Valve because I've been trying to work with them to get them more involved with LAN centers and the cyber cafe program through ggLeap. And, he's like, we're just knee deep into VR, and that's all we care about right now. We don't care about the LAN centers and Steam codes and the kind of the stuff that we're working on. He's like, we just have to figure out how to handle these VR commercial installations. And it is hot. Like everybody's looking to open a VR center right now because there's a lot of reasons we'll talk about here in just a second. But the barrier to entries are still pretty great for the common person. And it takes a lot of space for a lot of the technology and things. But I'll tell you a little bit about it. Well, you haven't even talked about it with me, J Mac, but I got my first taste today of VR. So we're working with a cool company that's sending us some products that want us to help them develop a thing that they've coined as V Sports. So it is sports plus electronics was esports. This is the combination of those two, but a physical activity in a virtual world. So they're calling it V Sports. So their products, and I don't know how many they're going to have, but their first product that they're sending out to us to set up is a product that is it is this big giant, and you can look them up. I don't have any problem at all saying who they are. Well, I guess I do have a problem saying LR, but so it's an interactive product. Anyway, we'll talk about it next week on the show after I get the product in. Those products are coming in on Fridays, but in the meantime, I had to get set up for this. So we worked the last 3 days to try to find where we could get some PlayStation VR headsets. You have to buy the camera, you have to buy the little motion controllers. So we worked GameStop, Amazon, Walmart, Sam's Club doesn't even carry them. Eventually, we called a buddy of ours that works at Best Buy here in town, and they had 4 headsets left in stock today, 4 cameras left today. We went down and bought them all. He was excited because it went for his daily sales goals. So he actually came to work 45 minutes before his normal shift so he could sell all this stuff to us. But we brought it back here, we set it up, and we just got the demo disc working. And, I've done a couple VR things years ago. Like when the Oculus first came out, my partner Sean here at eBash, he was one of the original Kickstarters. He had the original Oculus. Then he has the V2 Oculus that came out the second round. We don't have the commercially sold Oculus now, but we've had both of those too. So we got to do the walk through the little castle thing and some of those things back in the day. So that was my real experience with VR. Today, we loaded up the Sony VR, PlayStation VR, whatever it's called, and I couldn't believe it. It was pretty awesome. I was very drawn into the experience. I enjoyed it. It was competitive. It seemed pretty accurate. I put the headphones on to go with the headset because I think that's pretty important part of it, because in one of the demos, as I looked up to my side, there was a guy looking at me, giving me instructions before I got on this rail shooter ride. And the sound was coming out of this ear, so as I looked up here, I could hear the sound. And just for fun, I turned all the way around like this and the sound switched over and came out. So they've got all that stuff figured out as far as the interaction goes. I did feel a little bit funky when it was done. I was a little bit nauseous when it was done. But then I watched, because it was set up right here in the lobby outside my fish tank. I can see through the fish tank out in the lobby of our Terre Haute store, and we had it set up right out here. And I watched player after player after player get in it, and they were going nuts, oh my gosh, and give me a turn, I want to try. And it was a bunch of our regulars that came in, the older guys that wanted to try it out. I think it's going to be awesome. Here's why I think it's awesome for centers. So number one, it's expensive. That's great. That's great for centers because nobody's going to drop. I mean, we spent $2,000, almost $3,000 today buying 4 sets that had to also go with a PlayStation 4. So if you put a $300 or $400 PlayStation 4 with a $750 VR setup, you're over $1,000 just for that. And then you've got to have your TV and everything else. The setups are still expensive, and that's cheap. It's much more expensive to do VR on a PC. So that's a good thing for centers. It's intimidating. It's one of those things where even on the PlayStation, it's not quite noob friendly. It's just unfortunately not easy enough to get used to yet for a common person, I don't think. So that's good for us at centers. It's bad for people at home. It takes space. A lot of them are really, you move around in some of the stuff. And so you need to move around. I just think a lot of stuff lends it as pros for a game center. Cons are, it's still in its infancy. A lot of the stuff's not fully developed. I didn't like the wires. But I know that Vive has announced wireless is coming for it, and we're working with a cool company that actually has a complete commercial grade setup with wireless headset, wireless guns, wireless wands, and things that they use. So those things I think are coming down the road. Another con is that it takes an extra staff member. I think, I don't know if that's bad or good, but you have to charge more, so even though it's a cool new thing, whatever, you have to charge more because you got to have a staff member that kind of walks people through the experience, whatever else. But I'm sold. I mean, you and I just talked about this before we jumped on the call, but a lot of centers are already into it. I know Chris Tom, Nemesis, these are standard LAN centers that have gotten VR involved. There's some VR only centers coming out. There's a few that I've researched. They're not part of our network of centers, but there's a few I've researched. There's a couple new ones getting ready to open up. Some people are flying up to meet with us next week, you and I, doing some consulting for them in person. There's another one we talked to that they literally have like 6 or 7 full build sets ready to go, and they're figuring out how this works with licensing, how ggLeap can be integrated with it. We knew this was a thing. Our CTO, Chris, is on top of all of this stuff. When we sat down to build our client, we built it in Unity 3D just because we wanted to be ready for VR. So, we're not sure where VR is going to go, but we're ready for it. So a VR center could be, very easily integrated with our software so that you could see our interface in the VR goggles, in the VR world, and make those selections and launch the games in there just the same as you do in the ggLeap software on a PC. Now, I don't think it's hands-off enough that we need to really work on finishing that part of ggLeap right now, because you can't check a person in at the counter and say, sure, go play VR, and then they go sit down and they even a guy that's done it a lot, they need access to a lot of different things that doesn't make it something that it's easy to launch, but it's close. So, I'm not saying that it's not going to be the next thing that happens in 3 or 4 months, but it is something we have to pay attention to. I will cover a lot more on VR coming up, because this company that we're working with wants us to create a V Sport. It wants us to create a competitive event with its games and its cool hardware between LAN centers in the US specifically right now. So we're working on a thing with them. If we can develop that, then we'll be able to ship these units out to LAN centers. And again, LAN centers that have the setups, they'll get this thing in, and this company's ready to support some V Sport initiatives with some funding and things behind it. So I'm excited about it. I hope it's good. I hope it works. I can't wait to get my hands on it Friday. We'll have more on that in the next couple of weeks. So I don't want to spend too much time on that. And I know it's not specifically a LAN center startup question, but
it
again,
will be soon enough.
It is. It's on everybody's mind. Anybody new coming in right now has this as one of the things that they need to get. I can't wait to try it on our racing sims, because I've heard great things about VR in racing. Because our racing sims we use for the Motor Speedway every year, I brought 2 of them to the store today. They just sit in storage all winter because we take them out to the track every year. We're going to put 4 in our Indianapolis store, 4 in our Terre Haute store. I'm going to VR enable a couple of them because I've heard great things about VR racing in particular. And the existing good racing games for racing sims are VR enabled. So it's not like some company that's come along and made a racing game for VR. It's a game that was made previously that's been VR enabled. There was a test one today. Mark was playing it, and I watched him look around, and as he turned, he looked and he could see in the back seat of his car. So like he's driving along, and we see what he sees, on the screen. So he's driving along, and he looks out this side window at the car driving next to him. He looks out over here at the street and the buildings, and he looks behind him, and he can see out the rear window. But I'm like, you're like looking in the back seat of your car, with your head turned to the side. He was complaining. He's like, so the only way, he's like, there's not a button to bring up my rear view. And I'm like, well, you have a rear view mirror right there, and you can turn your head. That's how a real driver works. Like, a real driver doesn't have a button to bring up a full screen mode of the back of their car. Like they either look like this or they look on the rear view mirror. So anyway, VR is awesome. It's going to be awesome. We're all going to have to get into it. It's expensive, but it's one of those things that reminds me of the good days of LAN centers, 2007, 2008, when HD came out and the 360 was HD. Everything was, super hot around that, but it was way expensive. People didn't want to drop that kind of money at home. $1,200 for a 32-inch LCD TV that did 720, was awesome back then. I remember those days. So, I think it's something we should all address. We should all pick up some for our store. I just saw Escape Gaming got it. Andreas was posting some stuff and showing off. It looked like to me he had a Vive setup, but I love it. We're going to have to do all kinds of cool stuff with it coming up. So, all right, let's talk about some ggLeap updates.
Okay, I'm going to stop the stream because apparently it's really crappy. So I'm just going to keep recording live here, and then we'll upload it later.
I mean, I would say 99% of our people watch it recorded. Another reason for us to maybe switch and start doing a couple weekly that are shorter would be we could do them different time zones and have more people jump in live. I love it when people jump in live. I'm sad because, I see Michael was in there and, some of those guys are going to take a break and come watch it after you upload it later. But yeah. All right. So ggLeap updates. So we've had, what did we figure, 5 weeks since we've done it? 4 weeks since we've done a show?
Too long.
Yeah. Do you want to cover them? You want me cover them? You want to do them together? You're the guy that sits and breathes.
In the past couple of weeks, and this is just off the top of my head.
Here, do it like this. Do it in phases. So start with the admin.
Okay, so for the admin, the things that have been added in the past couple of weeks, first and foremost, consoles. So everybody has a way for you to just create any kind of device you want. Is it PlayStation? Is it Wii? Is it Xbox? Is it tablet? Is it whatever, VR? And you log in user, start typing in the user. They can have as many users as they want. They're not limited. And so then that just ticks their time down. It's just like a generic node in the admin where people will track their time down. And the nice thing is in the web browser, once someone's time is up, it notifies you that they are out of time and that you need to log them out, and which is helpful especially when you're busy. Secondly, this week was
HTTPS.
Really?
Green lock, baby. Green lock's done.
Oh yeah, green. No, I thought that was on just ggLeap.com.
Don't think so, buddy.
Okay.
You didn't pay attention. You missed today's meeting.
Yeah, HTTPS then. So secure hypertext protocol, which some people were concerned about. So that's a good thing to check off the list. Then
the other thing that goes with that, you don't know this because you weren't in the meeting. Sorry to interrupt you, but Andy mentioned today. I think it was Chris for Andy, but the reason why that's a big deal as well is that a lot of our API stuff on the ggLeap side, obviously we have a pretty robust API on the ggCircuit side. The API stuff on the ggLeap side is pretty dependent on having that HTTPS so that, and again, I don't know how it all works. I just know that was a pretty big piece of that. So I think that's going to lead into some more opportunities for us to work back and forth between ggCircuit, ggLeap, and that integration. But anyway,
you mean
okay,
like
keep going.
to be able to make apps?
Maybe.
Like for you, Dave, at the Nerd Cave in Australia, to get your app updated with ggLeap stuff.
Yep.
Then yesterday, employee accounts were added, which is another big thing people have been wanting. So, we keep knocking off the list of things that people want. I'll go into a sales demo or whatever, and I'll forget, 3 things that are out there in the demo that I haven't done in a previous sales demo, and I'm like, oh, well, let me try this right along with you. But usually it's pretty self-explanatory. So.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about the client.
Okay. Client, shell startup. So whenever you install and update the new version to .123, which will change tonight, tomorrow, whenever the next release is out, on startup you get shell right into ggLeap without Windows. No access to
Chris calls it the kiosk mode. I think that's a good way to call it.
Kiosk mode. No access to the desktop or taskbar. With the new release, and I tested some of this stuff, the game launching is way better. Not even seeing like Steam logins, just going directly into games that are Steam, and stuff that you're seeing right now with Alt-Tab. Majority of that is fixed. Any resolution issues that you may have been seeing, where the ggLeap was a little bit smaller than the screen, that stuff is fixed. Let's see, what else?
I know that a lot of the bugs and stuff and things that were worked on had to do with the startup. One thing that they told me that they're working on for today's, like Wednesday now or Thursday, it'll be the release this week, but an escape hatch for the beginning, because we've locked
Right.
it down like nobody else has been able to lock down as much as we have. And again, with our work with UCI and the university networks, like we're really going for this robust solution of no way to get in there. So today, like as crazy as this sounds, like we had to put an escape mechanism in for if there was any kind of issue for this thing booting up and it wouldn't let you into Windows through, like if you weren't connected to the internet and you couldn't admin it and like you just needed an escape, the black screen issue or whatever, they're putting in an escape. You'll hit a key combination as it boots that will allow you to then, it'll prompt you for this gigantically long key that's generated from the admin. So you have to be able to have admin access to log in and see what the key is. It'll generate this box and you have to type this gigantic key in. It's not something saved in the client. It's only active for like 10 minutes to let you in to be able to bypass that black screen. And again, these are things we've had to develop because no other software has ever even thought about going as far down the road as we have to lock the machine down in these environments. So
Yeah.
I was excited to hear about that.
Those of you that have had problems in the last week, thanks for your patience and helping us, letting us get in there and fix stuff for you and that kind of stuff. So hopefully this won't be a problem anymore when you run into issues. And you know who
Yep.
you are. I won't even say.
Yeah, it's one of those things too that as we get these bits and pieces done and lock this stuff down, it just frees us up to move on to other things. We're in development, we're always weighing back and forth between features and fixes. Like you can't do one without the other. If you just keep doing too many features and you don't go back and do the fixes, then you find yourself down the road with all these cool things that may or may not work because you didn't go back and fix everything along the way. So it's been a couple weeks now that we've been really hunkering down and working on some fixes. I can say, if we start talking about coming soon, one of the things that we're now going to start on is that our UI team is going to kick into number one, doing some training. So we're bringing 3 or 4 more of our staff into the Unity group. JMac's one of those that's volunteered to get into that. Dustin's going to do that. Maybe Mark from here and a couple other people, but the Unity team is going to not only train up a few more people, but they're working on the ggCircuit API calls that will pull the data into the shell or into the UI. So those leaderboards sections will start populating. The player profile data will start populating. We're in this tug of war back and forth. So again, if you have opinions, we'd love for you to jump in. If you're not in the ggLeap Facebook group, because if you're a ggLeap supporter, there's a private Facebook group like for all of you to come in and share with us. So there's nearly 100 people in that group now. There's all kinds of stuff going around that doesn't even have anything to do with ggLeap, like talking about different suggestions and things. So it's a great place to get more information. But we'd love to have this tug of war competition we have internally solved by more feedback from sinners. But the marketplace section on the right, when you log in right now, you see the player data. I'll do it this way because on the screen. So the player data is on the left. The game launching is in the middle. And on the right side is that marketplace empty space that we want to put the ggCircuit prize vault. My thought, I'm a little more apt to say right now, especially, I'd like to fill that in with a place for the players to know they need to link their accounts. So directly have a link that goes to their ggCircuit page, auto logs them into ggCircuit, allows them to go through the process to link their League of Legends account, to link their Smite account, to link their Steam Guard. I'd like for that to be what goes in there right now. Now, eventually, that's going to be a menu system on that side that allows you to go back and forth between the marketplace, linking things, the challenges, the tournaments, the events going on. That'll be full of all kinds of stuff. But for right now, if we only have that little rectangle, my opinion is to put it in there. Other people are saying, let's go ahead and put the marketplace in, because if we put the prizes in front of the player, especially actively new prizes coming in from ggCircuit of these game codes and things the players can win, that will force the player to, again, click that, go into ggCircuit, and then they can link it'll motivate them to link their account better than just showing them how to link their account. So love to have some feedback on that, but that's one of the things that we'll be working on in the next couple of weeks. I know coming up, I have the roadmap up a little bit here, but we're working on some guest logins. We're working on the ability to sort columns in the admins section. So if you want to sort it by a different column in the admin, you can. We're working on post pay and options for, if people don't prepay, as long as if they log in and you set your rate, allow that to work up to the point where they have a bill before they leave if you don't want to make them pay. Personal user files, save games, that stuff's still on the list coming up. An admin login at the client, some sort of, like when it boots up, a way for the admin, if it's connected to the internet, to use their login to be able to log in and get to the desktop and do some administration stuff. Mm-hmm. All kinds of other stuff on the roadmap. But just timeline wise, again, we're still shooting for, I have this in another section, but I'll talk about it now. We're shooting for 100 centers to be supporting us and paying us for support by December 1st. I checked this morning, we're just shy of 70. So we've only got about 30 more to go in the last half of this month. So we need a couple a day to come on board, and we'll talk about what we're going to do to increase that, especially with some of the new stuff we're releasing. But then I'd like to have 100 by the end of the year, fully running their centers with it. So a lot of people have come on board and they're supporting us, and they have a couple installs and they're watching the progress, but they're waiting on that moment when they jump over and they use this full blown for their center. I want 100 centers paying us by December 1st, and then 100 of the centers to be running it full time by the end of the year, because we're still shooting for a February 1st full release. So we're in a 3-month countdown, less than 3-month countdown to full release. That's our goal. And we'll just jump in here to the next thing, which I want to talk about, which is early access changes. Mm-hmm. So right now, so everybody knows Pioneer program just ended. We have a few pioneers that are still, we were talking to them before the deadline, so we're finishing up with them. We had an internal goal of 100. We're going to try to settle on about 75 pioneers when it's all said and done. But we're finishing that up. That's almost done. So our new programs that just started, there's no more Pioneer program, but there is early access still. So for $99 a month, you can jump in, get full access to the global license pool, which includes Battlefield 1. It includes Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2. It includes a lot of other games. Our goal is to put a new game in the license pool every week. Mark's working hard to get that done for us. There is now a $29 a month package. So this is what I really would like. If there's a lot of centers out there that are just like, I don't know, whether I should check it out or not. If you start the $29 a month early access, we set up your online server for you. We do a demo with you. We train you on how to use it. You get your own client for your center. You can install it on your laptop in your office if you want. You can install it on one of your gaming PCs. It just gives you a login to the admin interface. You can watch development. You help support us. It's not really about the dollar amount as much as it is by paying us that dollar amount. We know you're interested in the product, and it gives us a ton of weight when we're talking to sponsors and partners that want to get involved with all of the centers that are part of the network. So if I get to 100 paying centers by the end of this month, those are milestones that some people have said, talk to me when you get to 100 paying centers or 100 supported centers on the system. That's like a magic number for us a little bit. So if you're interested and you're on the fence, come on board with the $29 a month. You can go to the website, click a button, start your PayPal subscription. We'll set up a demo. We'll get your server set up. Even if you're not open yet, you can do that. And you can upgrade or downgrade at any time. So you could start with that product now. And then if you're ready to go live in a month, you move to the $99 a month product down the road when you're ready to get the global license pool and all of those things that come with that. So get on board with that. We want you on board as part of the early access program. Help us get to our goal. And if you're an existing center or you really love what we're doing and you really want to support us to another level, we're releasing the ggLeap Agents program this month. So we've hand selected There's about a dozen in the program right now. And specifically, we're looking at people, a lot of them have been supporting us since January. So
Well,
a lot of people don't know.
A lot of them have been supporting us long before that, and we've gotten a
Right. A
relationship
lot
with
of them,
them
right. Right. A lot of them have been
monetarily.
friends of mine forever, ggCircuit centers forever. Specifically, when ggLeap behind the scenes was announced privately to these people, they came on board to partner with us early. And the ones that we've handpicked kind of to start this a little bit are in regions of the world where there is a language barrier, there's a time zone barrier, there's support issues that are unbeknownst to us, in those regions that we need local support for. So basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to get more Zacks, more JMacs, and more RMacs is what I put in my notes. So Jason McIntosh, we call you JMac, Ross McClintock, who's one of our other big pieces that most of you see on a regular basis in the support groups, kind of project management role a little bit on some of the pieces for us. We need to duplicate us. We need more of us out there. I want this product and this service and this company to be driven by LAN centers and by game centers all over the world. So I don't ever want there to be a support team of 20 people that are paid for by ggLeap. I'd rather that be centers that are out there that in their region of the world, they get really familiar with our product and they can help all the centers around them. And we just basically pay them a portion of those fees, kind of like a commission, but I don't want a salesperson. I want a partner, so we don't want you to go find people and send them to us to set up. We want you guys to go set them up and get your regions active, because it's not just about, we need all these people on there. If we want to run an event in Argentina, in Argentina and South America, where Sebastian is one of our partners and our agents down there, if he gets to 20 or 30 or 40 centers just in Argentina, we can run events just for Argentina from sponsors that are interested in reaching those centers in that region. So I'll talk a little bit about the end of this, about some of the stuff we're doing with schools, but these things are very region specific. So I can't get a high school or collegiate or university program going in India. I can't do it. None of us that are involved with this can have a prayer of being successful with a program like that in India. If I've got partner or partners in India that are out there getting people on board, they're the point of contact. They're the Zacks, the JMacs, and the RMacs of that region. We'll support them 100% and turn them into us in that region, so that, again, you own a center in that region. You want your center to do that well and have all these opportunities. You get those people connected, and all of a sudden you can have a high school or a middle school or an elementary or a collegiate league for your region of the world. Those things don't mix and match across country lines, across regions, because in a lot of these games, the servers aren't even connected.
Right.
You cannot be a part of our tournaments that we have in North America if you live in Europe. It just, it does not physically work that way. You can't play Counter-Strike against teams across the ocean. The delays are too great. It just doesn't happen. So if you are an existing center or a startup center, I don't care what you are, but you're in a market and you want to partner with us, we need agents to come on board. We have a support program, Ross and Jason, which is hard to say, but you guys you've been doing this now for 2.5 months, 1.5 months, I guess, almost 2 months. You know how to talk to centers, get them interested. You know how to set them up. You know how to do the demos. You know how to support them. We just want to get more people involved in that group. And so talk to us about getting involved. We need your help. We need to make these milestones. We need all these regions of the world to build up internally. And we're not going to be able to do that from our side. We can't do that. We can find one of you, we can support you, we can give you all the tools you need, and then you take that and you go out in your region and you build us up in that region, and everybody in that region then talks to you. You're in charge kind of that region as far as support goes, as far as prize distribution, as far as setting up events and all those things.
Help me get
so
more
early
sleep.
Right, exactly. Jason and Ross try to cover 24/7 support right now between two guys in 27 different languages. It's not possible. It's not possible. I don't know how we're doing it now. All right. let's talk about new and exciting stuff. So ggCircuit Season 6. I wanted to wait on Season 6 before we had integration done with ggLeap and ggCircuit completely. I wanted to wait on Counter-Strike to be ready. I wanted to wait on a reset of coins that we're going to do for coming up soon, to reboot everything as we get into this fully blown integrated product. So the last 2.5 months, I've waited on Season 6 thinking we were close. We are very close, but I'm not going to continue to wait. So we're going to launch Season 6. We're going to do a short season. We've got to get an objective out there for centers and players all around the world that's part of ggCircuit. So ggCircuit is going to launch Season 6. It's going to be a short season. It's only going to be 6 weeks. We're going to do 5 weeks of regular season and 1 week of finals. And it's going to be the exact same format as the past seasons. And we're going to do all digital prizes this season so that there's no delay in getting physical prizes out. There's no discrepancy on what region of the world it is or whatever. So there's going to be a lot of prizes that are Steam codes, game codes, like full copies of maybe Battlefield 1 or full copies of Plants vs. Zombies, like things that we have access to that we can easily give out all over the world. Maybe some Amazon codes for regions that support that, Riot or League of Legends codes. We're going to do all digital to be able to run through the season efficiently and then be ready after that season's done for a Season 7 launch that includes a bunch of stuff. Now, this doesn't mean that in the middle of this season, ggLeap, ggCircuit will be integrated, and a lot of this stuff will start popping up on the screen in front of the players mid-season. That's fine. Again, it's a short season. They won't miss out on much. And every week there'll be winners that start from scratch. So anytime they jump in, they'll be able to play and win. We may launch some new games during this season. So it may be that we launch support for CSGO in the middle of this season, or we may launch support for Paragon in the middle of this season, or we may launch support for a brand new game that comes to us and says, listen, we'd love what you're doing. We'd love to have our game reach out to all these centers. If they're willing to pay us $5 or $10,000 to help us with development costs behind the scenes, I'll take their money and we'll all play their game for a week. I'll give double points for their game for a week if they help us get some of these other objectives done a lot quicker. So that's coming. December 5th is the first day of the next season. So here in America, we have Thanksgiving. The rest of the world, I realize, doesn't celebrate Thanksgiving. A lot of them have fall breaks, or I was surprised to learn from our team in Ireland that they take a whole week off for Halloween. I thought that was bizarre. Like in America, we don't even get Halloween off. Like kids go to school, we go to work. But over there in Ireland, Halloween is a week vacation for the kids from school. It's crazy. But after Thanksgiving's done, we'll kick into the Season 6. Same sort of concept. Top 5 games for each player of the week. Top 15 players for the week for your center score. Everybody that's done one of these in the past is familiar with it. Sliders will be updated with that data. We'll have all kinds of stuff that we'll be able to throw up on your screens to get your players excited in your displays around the store. So the second thing to get excited about is that we have some really cool school stuff. And this is my last topic, and we'll be done for the day. But the last thing I want to talk about is there's crazy stuff going on with esports in schools. Like, we all know about universities, but what we've done behind the scenes, and this has been done for a couple months, we just haven't talked about it yet. I don't think this is visible to anybody but us as super users, JMac, but our guys went in and we found a database in the U.S. of every single elementary school, middle school, and high school in the entire United States of America. All right. It's like 32,000 schools. The database we found a government website that allowed us to download this database. It included addresses, longitude, latitudes, all these other things. And so we've actually imported that. We have a way to search for those, and we have a way to narrow it down to those within X amount of miles from each of the land centers that are existing in the United States. So what our thought is that, again, I've done this for 12 years. I've got players coming in all the time that want to play in esports events. Here's what I think's missing. I think that an identity to a school is what's been missing in esports at every other level, And you see this with Overwatch. They just announced their huge new season. They're big time on board. What's the first thing that they did is that they recognize there has to be identities to the teams. So they're going to have teams that represent Chicago, that represent Los Angeles, that represent, because they need people to be able to get behind something besides like this random thing that's out there that doesn't. I'm a Colts fan. I love the Indianapolis Colts. Why do I love the Colts? Because I live in Indiana. They're close here. I go to physical games there sometimes and watch physical games. Every store in my area sells shirts and stuff for the Colts. Sure, they sell some for the Bears, some for the Bengals, maybe some for some other teams that are popular around the country. But that's what we are around here. We identify ourselves with the Indianapolis Colts because it's right around here.
Right.
I think the high school opportunity is something that all of us as land centers have to really embrace. And we're willing to do this all around the world. This goes back to the regions and the agents and the partners that we need. If somebody can find us a database, or we can put it in there where you just manually add the schools in your area, that's fine. We can put that in there. But here in the U.S., we want everybody, whether you're 90 or whether you're 9, to when you come in, associate yourself with either the current school that you're in or at least your alma mater if you went to a certain high school. So what we can do then is the seasons that we run, a lot of the stuff that we're going to do as far as leaderboards and things, we can start sorting those by schools. Mm-hmm. So you can imagine if you have a weekend challenge for, let's find the best high school in our region of one of our stores. So all these players come in and they just play like normal. They use our ggCircuit formula for your top 5 games, make up your player's score. And then we take a school and we say who your top 15 players are, is your school's score for that week or that day or that month or whatever it is. It gives you so much more loyalty and you buy in so much more to the concept of being one of the best players at your school. Like that's how real sports works. If growing up, I played basketball at high school and then at college. If I loved it. A lot of it I loved because I loved competition, but I loved it because people would associate me. I was known for being the basketball player. That's what I was known for. Like they knew that I was one of the better basketball players at high school. It gave me an identity in that sport. With esports, we have the opportunity to give these kids an identity in 50 different video games, whether it's esports, whether it's our new idea for V Sports, whatever it is. Give them an identity that they're the best at something, or they're the top 5 or the top 10 best at something in their school. Find out who the best in this region is. Let's start rewarding them with some contests and things. And I'm telling you, this will translate into opportunities for them at the collegiate level because these universities are starting up new programs like crazy. And they're looking for players to come to their schools on scholarships to represent them in esports. How are they going to find the players? Like, do they just watch pro matches and hope they find like a 17-year-old that's on a really high-ranked League of Legends team? Mm-hmm. It's brutal. I've talked to these athletic directors and these coaches at these programs. It's brutal for them to find talent, to recruit, to come to their schools to represent them in these games. A specific example before we go here is we're working with a university in Indiana that's looking at putting an arena in at their university. The very first thing that they did is they met with all the deans. They wanted to get approval for all this thing. And you know this, J-Mac, because they came back to you first and then through you to me. They came back and they said, here's our idea. In the spring next year, let's hold an invitational event. Let's invite high school teams in and bring them into our gymnasium, auditorium, wherever you tell us we need to set up, and run a tournament for them, these high school teams at this university, to find out what the high school scene is like, to find out if we can recruit them to bring talent in that are smart kids that want to go to one of our schools for information technology or science or engineering or art or whatever it is.
Game design.
They have good grades. Right. They have good grades. They qualify to come to our school. How do we find those high school kids? Let's go out and reach out to them in the medium that they all love. They all love video games. They all love competitions. So we are now going to put together a program with this university And we're going to go out in the state of Indiana. We're going to find the best high school teams. We've met a lot of programs that are clubs that are going in high schools where there's 30, 40, 50 kids once a week getting together with a teacher at the school that plays League of Legends with them, that teaches them. They have an A team and a B team and a C team. They need teams to scrimmage. They need places to play. They need somebody to get them organized. I think it should be us. We're all in these communities. There are a dozen high schools, and there are probably 30 middle schools around my store in Terre Haute. There are probably 25 high schools in Indianapolis. There are probably 50 middle schools in Indianapolis that would participate in some way, shape, or form, maybe not weekly, but at least maybe monthly or quarterly. We would be able to bring them in. And let me tell you, from a business perspective, bringing them in and making them aware of your location and the facility you have and what you have to offer, you're going to get more customers out of it. You're going to get more regulars coming in for your other events that are maybe not just high school events. You may get them to come to your all-nighters, your lock-ins, your next tournament, your board and card game tournaments if you do that, or whatever it is. So I think this is going to be a big push for us in 2017. It will become part of our season, starting with season 7. We will start looking at, breaking down other competitions just for qualified high school, qualified middle school, qualified collegiate teams. That's it. That's all I got.
So to kind of a wrap up, lots of centers coming on in VR. VR's hot. We're getting into it, seeing what's going to happen potentially with ggLeap and VR. Season 6 is coming. The December 5th, the next ggLeap release is coming very soon. So stop asking. You'll know when we announce it.
$29 a month.
New levels for ggLeap, $99 a month for ggCircuit and the global pools, $29 a month for ggCircuit and up to 40 clients. Then new stuff, consoles, employee accounts, and actually multi-level accounts, and shell startup or kiosk mode, and more stuff coming. What I miss out of that conversation, and high school stuff.
Yeah,
it's happening.
Just
it's all happening. Oh, and
right,
also just quickly, some people have questions about the World of Tanks stuff today that we announced, and basically what we have is a good number of World of Tank accounts that are completely unlocked. Had a little bit of a blip on that, and those accounts should be coming tomorrow. So anybody that redeemed them in the prize vault, be patient. I'm going to get those out tomorrow as soon as that stuff's been cleared up. And so it's not something that you can apply to someone's account. I'm sorry, but I'm also not sorry because this is a bunch of free, awesome stuff that we're giving you to try out and have your users get stuff that then they can buy.
Here's the cool thing about that.
Yeah.
So we all know about Riot's League Unlocked program, where we're working to try to get Riot to give LAN centers the chance to have that League Unlocked program. These keys, these logins from World of Tanks, we would like for them to come back to us and give us a 3-month or a 6-month login and put those in the global license pool. Like with a little more time so that we could build that development piece in, we would be able to put World of Tanks into all of our global prize pool with keys that a player could just launch the game and would auto log them into one of these accounts. And while they played, they would have everything unlocked. Everything that would cost, I don't even know what they would cost, because you have to buy all these little perks and things in the game. So I'm assuming it's hundreds of dollars of items you would have to buy, if not thousands of dollars of items, are all unlocked while you're playing on that account. Like, obviously, the next time you log in, you're going to get a different account. You can't really track your stats. And so it gives players access to everything they could want to try out in the game, and hopefully then gets them to go download the game, because it's a free game to download, and start playing on their own account where they can save their progress and all their upgrades and ranks and scores and wins and losses and all of those things. So hopefully this thing with World of Tanks leads into a bigger deal with them, because they obviously have this technology available.
Yeah. All right, cool. Talk to you next time.
Sorry. Hey, sorry for those that came in during the live show. Most of you are watching this on the recording, but I know J-Mac from home was a little bit choppy tonight. So, there seemed to be like a dozen to 15 people that tried to jump in and said, "Oh my gosh, I can't hardly watch it because it was so laggy." You'll see when you get it on YouTube. It was a real show and it was not laggy for J-Mac.
I picked the wrong video setting, so not a streaming expert, but I'm an expert in good looks. All right, see you later.
All right, see you, buddy.